In Christianity, most of the time we are talking about winning souls or preaching gospel to others like that. But after you preach the gospel, when you have more believers or a Christian community or a Christian society or a Christian nation or a huge Christian population in a country or in any landmass on this earth, we should think somehow how are we going to bring that actual Christian life and Christian culture and Christian morals to a social level and to a political level, or because through a economical level, because it is matter, because we are normally, when any human being will live in this basic traits of, or this in these basic structures of politics, economy, education and culture. So these are the four important things that and also I include the production, right? These are production and services. So these are the five things that we are going to live in this world. So these are the five things govern us. These are the five things we govern. These are the five things which makes us to live actually on this planet Earth. So these five things should be carried out according to the Christian principles, or according to the with the real understanding, with the Christian principles, with the real understanding of Christianity or Christian culture or what the Bible says, or in a civilized manner, rather than implementing as a legitimate principle. So by these are the things that we are going to live in this world. We are actually living. So these things should be governed, should be implemented, carried out according to the biblical principles. So what are the biblical economical principles? What are the biblical educational principles? What are the biblical cultural principles? Here is why in this topic under the culture only that thing comes about our basic understanding of our emotions, the way we express emotions, the way we connect with others, the relationship, and the way we behave. So way we behave is good behavior is that we have all of the things okay, but the way we behave good is not only about biblical understanding, it's also about your common sense, how you have to behave those things. It is matter. So rather than don't wait until your preacher says you to behave well, you behave well first. That is matter. But other two things, the relationship and culture, or that relationship, the way you express your feeling, directly involves with the sex and marriage. So there we have to strictly come to that point. So we have to train the kids since their childhood to accept the biblical concept of sex and biblical concept of marriage and biblical concept of expression of emotions and biblical concept of a relationship among human beings. This is very important in any Christian kid's life. So the problem is the secular world is talking about scientific experiments and many things, and this is the relationship, this is the way we have to we can express feelings, these are the emotions. So they name to different kind of emotions, they name different kind of names which are unhealthy emotions according to Bible. So just because I'm saying this, do not think myself as I'm rejecting the science or modern technology, modern psychology. No, I'm not rejecting. But when it comes to relationship or spiritual matters or the cultural matters, religion should be in the center. That's what I'm saying. I'm not rejecting science or engineering or anything. Science is a vast subject. Science is not only about LGBTQ, or science is not only about the creation or that evolution of human being from a monkey. No, that's not science actually. Science is a vast subject. Chemistry, physics, biomathematics, this STEM field is a vast subject. So you can use it for the material analysis, and for some of the psychological and philosophical analysis, and for some of the medical analysis, which is also material. But when it comes to spirituality, relationships coming in spirituality, marriage, sex, these things are coming in spirituality, right? So for the spiritual matter, death, these things are coming in spirituality. So for the spiritual matters, we have to consider the Bible only. So that's what the Christian culture talks about. For that's a strict principle that we should have, right? Even the non-Christian religions have that. That's what I'm saying. So just because something is proven by science, it doesn't mean that should be adopted by human beings, or it doesn't mean that it is spiritually healthy, right? Those are important things. So and the next thing is the culture, the emotion, the religion, the way you express yourself. That is the culture. So then economy, politics, then this one, agriculture and productions, and how in the economy, how are you going to pay the fair wage to the employees? How are you going to pay the laborer? How are you going to treat the laborer? How are you going to have, what amount of profit you are going to get from the income that you have? What amount of profit that you are going to donate to the people or invest in the poor people's business, or what amount of money that you are going to have, what amount of money you're going to invest, what is the price that you're going to sell, what's the price that you're going to buy, what's the quality of your product. This is matter in Christian economy. So like in a secular capitalism or the secular communism or secular socialism, Christian economy does not work in that way. So that is matter. So Christian economy, because of the economical problem and relationship problem, only sin comes, and people leave church, leave Christianity, because secular world, secular economy and secular relationship standards are directly anti-biblical. So if you say the Bible is white, the secular idea is directly black, directly the opposite of the Bible. So therefore, the people who have to succeed in this world should follow it's like they are forced to follow the secular standards of economy, the secular standards of relationship, the secular way of thinking. But actually, biblical way of thinking is different. So it means if you are a Christian, the secular way shall not be compatible to yourself. Therefore, you have to follow the Christian manners and ideas and principles. That is matter. Right? So therefore, you should establish somehow, to some extent, among Christian communities, the Christian business, Christian relationship, somehow it should be carried out among the Christian believers globally first. That is very important. You may say this left wing, right wing, those things I'm talking. No, that's not the case. Actually, practically, if you look at that, you cannot go with the mainstream politics or mainstream secular world. Or otherwise, you have to bring the Christianity to the mainstream politics, but not for the political benefit, but for the nourishment of Christian culture in a reserved manner or in a discipled manner. Right? Not like the present political view of Christianity. So this is very important to understand, right? So Christian leaders and Christian churches and Christian believers should initiate the steps to start Christian schools and the Christian way of education and the Christian way of skill producing, Christian way of employment, Christian way of profit making, Christian way of relationship making. So Christian way of culture, or the order or the schedule. So for an example, in the secular world, you look at a woman, okay, what kind of woman is that? Is that woman have money or beauty in her body, so then you will marry the woman? But in Christianity, that's not the case. Relationship is the core requirement, or the core competence, or the core right to have, which can be possessed by anybody, any Christian believer, not based on the money or the race or the social status. But the secular world puts us into that trap. So when you think in that way, when you adopt the secular standard, you will not be able to maintain that Christian standard. So then when you look at the Christianity and when you go to the church, you will understand, or you will begin to realize that Christianity is not helping your secular ideas. So without that so if you leave the secular ideas, you can't live in this world, so then you leave the church. So in order to live this world life also, so the church should know to expand its philosophies, principle to the world which is out of the church, to the normal society, right? So so if you adopt the Christian way, the church does not support economy, the church does not support profit making, the church does not support relationship, the church does not support arts, your emotions, or church does not support your education. Church is contradicting, controlling. Therefore, the believers will struggle. So churches should know to work appropriately, rather than legitimately, to appropriately according to the situation with the believers. This is matter. Right? Maintain the biblical principles, but you should understand what the believer is saying, what the believer is feeling. So because of that fault, today's generation is leaving the church, leaving the Christianity. It's not actually the rebellious nature against God, but it is actually that simple incompatibility which is created by the church against the secular world, against the believers. And also the inability or the lack of motive to establish the Christian platform in the economical and cultural and educational platforms for Christian believers. So churches should do this, but churches are not doing that. That's a problem, right? So churches and the believer together, that Christian community together, should initiate this one, but it should not be more rude, but it should not be more legitimized. It should not be more harsher, but it should be somehow pragmatic and opportunistic. It should be somehow somehow should have a tolerance between pessimistic and optimistic. So that is matter. Then only Christianity will exist as in a civilized world among the Christian believers. So then only Christian believers will feel comfortable in their world life, normal world life, and their spiritual life while they're carrying that Christian culture. So the Christian culture should support their economical life, should support their educational life, should support their cultural life. So that is matter. Any religion on this planet, any non-Christian religion on this planet have these features. So therefore, even the religion is non-biblical, people are comfortable with that because people are able to make their life while they are practicing the religion. But in Christianity, it's not the case. Christianity, church is getting away from the world, away from their life. So they are creating another world, which is not allowing the believers to prosper in terms of emotions, in terms of culture, in terms of art, in terms of civilization, in terms of economy. So in terms of these things, the Christian churches should create a successful place or a survival platform or a Christian environment or a Christian platform to which is compatible to prosper in terms which I mentioned before a while. So that should be created by Christian community, Christian family, Christian parents, the Christian schools, and the Christian church. So whoever carrying the church ministry should understand this point. So pastors should be tested their core competency level about these understandings about the secular finance, secular education, and all the things. Then only they should be as pastors. Then only they can understand the consequences between these two scenarios. Then only they will make the compatible and sufficient and suitable environment for Christians, which may Christian prosper through the biblical ethics in the aspects of economy and politics and education and cultural behaviors. By that, when Christians are following that, rather than preaching to others, we have to follow that. We have to practically do that through biblical ethics, through the biblical ethics, and by that we have to show the people what the Christian life and the Christian prosperity and Christian world life, Christian civilization, or the Christian culture, Christian community, or the Christian nation, or the Christian population be like, while it is following the biblical ethics in all the terms of economics and the education and the culture. By that, other races will understand, impacted, and will be impacted by this, and they will understand what Jesus Christ is talking about, the Bible is. So rather than preaching, we have to follow that, implement it, and do it and show it. Rather than showing, actually the motive and the intention is not to show it to other people. The intention is to create positive environment for Christian believers to prosper in these terms of education and everything. And the side effect of this will be the attraction of other people and understanding of other people about the Bible. Even if they are not understanding, we cannot pressure the believer to make them to attract. We have to prosper ourselves. So the population will grow. So by that, the church will conquer this planet. By that, the world will understand what the gospel is, and also how we fulfill others' needs, the believers' needs, how we fulfill the needs of each of us in an ethical way, not in a poor way, but in a rich way. It is matter for Christians. So ethical richness, ethical profit, ethical education, it means biblical ethical education, biblical ethical righteousness, biblical ethical culture matters for Christianity's survival and the prosperity and existence. None of any Christian country did that. None of any Christian church did that. So I think that's the lack of thing which is to be done by the Christianity. You can see that clearly in the earlier time. Jesus started about the welfare and also the healing ministry. The apostles also started the welfare and the healing ministry. Later the education came, but the production and economy and agriculture did not initiated by any Christian denomination or any church. I think the next step of Christianity to prosper is the step is this is what I'm talking about. So rather than talking or preaching, we have to initiate ways, a good environment, good platform for Christian believers or Christian people to survive, to improve their personality in the terms of economy, in the terms of politics, the terms of social life, in the terms of physical ability, mental ability, and spiritual ability, and in terms of giving a good life and making a good civilization of Christianity. So that is the important thing that we have to do, Christian believers. When a believer, when we win the souls for God, but after that we have to do this one for the souls, because those souls will live as a Christian civilization.